You mentioned your tag belts. We've spoken before how it's ended, and you just mentioned it again. But obviously, how did it start? And did you just realize how long did they give you any? I don't know, forewarning and say like, yeah, you're gonna have the titles for a long time, or was it just right? Have this feud with Eminem and see what happens after this.
No, they felt they had to take the belts off of Eminem because Joey Mercury's a drug head and had to go
Fair
to
enough.
rehab. What?
No, I said fair enough.
Blech. Okay, the sun is hot. Um, so I remember that specifically because we were in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, and Ted DiBiase, the charlatan he is, uh, he had us all outside or in this other building, and we were going over our match because we were furthering the angle, of us basically sweeping Eminem and just beating them every match we had.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I remember uh, Theodore DiBiase was like trying to console Joey the drug head, and he was like, "Okay, well, you know why they're doing the title switch. You know why they're doing the title switch. It's not because anything these guys have done. It's not them. It's not because anything they've done." And and I remember Brian got so like it was like seeing the kettle just go like
Yeah. Rightfully so.
yeah, yeah. And I had to like pull him outside. He was like, "That motherfucker, piece of shit, fucking insult us to our fucking faces." I'm like, "Hey, everybody's got a price, man." But yeah, just you get a lot of backhand piece of shit comments like that. But we beat them, so we had the last laugh. No, they there was never like a real. It's gonna be a year, but it was just that the more they would throw these projects at us and realize how much they sucked. Uh, like I mean, we had great feuds though, like mini feuds that we were lucky to get onto pay-per-views. We had great chemistry with the Pit Bulls.
Yep.
We absolutely loved working with those guys. We tore the house down in Montreal. I mean, just it was pretty insane. Casey James and Aaron Stevens, teachers Padover, had same thing. Great chemistry with those guys. Eminem, great chemistry with Johnny. Um, so that was uh, that was something where then they would try. I remember. Okay, so then we had the ladder matches. The ladder match thing. I'm trying to remember how that came about, but they told us that during the week. They're like, "Oh, your match with Regal and Taylor this weekend. Um, we're adding Eminem and we're adding the Hardys." Like, what the fuck? And we're gonna make it like I don't think there was any tables used in that match, but it's gonna be a ladder match featuring the Phantom of the Opera. Uh, and it, we made it work for us. But unfortunately, because Phantom of the Opera made an appearance, he well, there was some political discussions going on which swayed the office into putting the attention on that instead of the winners of the actual match. I mean, there was just a lot of things, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't have merch while we had the belts. We got merch after we had already dropped them. They took us out of the video games to put Crime Time back in the video game after they had just fired Crime Time. So we got
Right.
replaced in video game from people that didn't even work there at the
Because
time.
you mentioned the merch there, and I mean during that time you were wearing the masks, which to me I thought they got over. So that was
Well,
a
that
missed
was the
opportunity.
conversation I had with Johnny Scatman Ace, was that, you know, why can't we make merch with this? Ray already has merch with masks. We don't want the people to get confused. Who the fuck is going to get confused with Rey Mysterio's mask and some janky theater mask that Brian's wife made while she was exploring one of 30 careers attempts? And so, you know, ah, so we got rid of the masks. And yeah, you know, Boogeyman, who had face paint, had a mask. That was merch. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? Why not sell a makeup kit for Boogeyman? That's fine though. This is gonna make me sound so like, all he does is complain. Bench. Yeah, it's like,
No, I'm just gonna put a
he
laughter
asked a
track
question, I'm
over
answering it. What do you want me to say?
it.
God, we loved working with Joey Mercury. He was so cool. Like, he just, what a smart little guy there. Just didn't want to, like, he wouldn't even bump. That's how good he is. We couldn't even knock him down. He's so strong. He wouldn't bump because he was apparently made out of peanut brittle or rice paper. But I mean, it's like, I just have fun with this shit, you know? And just the way that I see it is humorous. It's because it's so ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It really is absurd. So when I
Um,
recall something, it's ridiculous in my mind,
yeah.
but I have zero like animosity or anger. Just because I don't like somebody doesn't mean I'm like full of gasoline. Like, oh my god, I hate this person. A piece of shit's a piece of shit. Nah, it is what it is. You don't have to like everybody.
To follow on from that, so you said one of the reasons why Eminem dropped the belts. I always thought it was obviously to put you guys over, but I've always thought like one of the reasons they dropped the belts was because WWE saw Johnny as like the singles star and they wanted to break him up.
I mean, one would think. I mean, Johnny's incredible. He's one of the most talented people I've ever been in the ring with. He can do anything. Um, he's very easy to work with. He's safe. If anything, I probably hurt him more than he's hurt me. I think back to that. I did a springboard missile drop kick to him when he was climbing a ladder, or he was on the ladder, but I didn't get high enough, so I kicked him like in the hip, and he fell off in such a weird way, and I always felt so bad about that. I was like, oh, sorry, man, it was the shit. But yeah, they never had they never had any plans for us.
No.
You know, we kind of got the belts because they didn't have anybody else, and I'm not going to discredit us to a point. I mean, we worked our asses off and we were willing to put over every goddamn project they threw at us. The Highlanders were Hunter's pet project. Once they realized that we were the only ones that they could have good matches with, and they didn't, that that kind of became an old new toy really quickly. Same thing with the Gemini. Same thing with whoever else. All these teams that we faced were. I'm trying to think. They were either the ideas of somebody in the office.
Yeah.
No one had the idea of putting us together except us. That's we went to the head of the scat snake himself, and we're like, hey, I don't know why I'm wrestling Cash on this show. Like, I don't know what this match even matters. Nothing against Cash, but it was just kind of like, when you were a cruiserweight, it didn't matter. Like, your matches didn't matter. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Nobody watched them. They had no reason to happen. There was no rankings. There was no storylines. It was, and so I expressed that to Gene Malenko, and he's like, well, "Why don't you go tell the boss that?" I was like, "I think I will." And that's when Brian, I thought, well, you know what? Let's go tell him, hey, I think we can actually do more for the company as a tandem. And then he got really excited and he was like, "Oh, yeah, you guys are like pit bulls." Okay, this thing with pit bulls, big surprise, right? It's like, you guys aren't the biggest dogs in the yard, but you got the biggest bite. Wow. It's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. So can we team up? Yes. Yeah. And we just took it from there. Just shorts and all that stuff. And we found our own wardrobe guy who's since passed away. Mr. Wrestling, rest in peace. That was his name as a seamster. But yeah, we the shirts, that was our seamstress guy. That was his design. I ripped the catchphrase off of something I'd heard um, on the radio, and then they never gave him any royalties for his artwork. And yeah, you develop a numb, like, callousness just so that you can kind of function on that physical schedule traveling wise. I don't know how this company that calls itself WWE now, I don't know how that traveling schedule works, and all the catering towards the comfort of the zoo animals, and their transport. You know, I have no idea what any of that entails now. I'm just going off of how it was for me. You're just getting home just to unpack and do laundry, just to repack it and leave again. Um, and so you 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 lose your sense of smell and taste and feeling, and you just go 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 go. And so it's just that's like, I don't even know that guy. I don't even know that. When I think back to who that was, just like, Jesus Christ, it's 20 plus years ago. So, but very naive and immature in lots of ways that you know cost me a lot of money, but I was happy going towards what attracted me. And there's no sense in having regrets, you know. But I've had a pretty fun ride, man. It's been a lot more than I ever set out to.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Awesome.